Hello and welcome to another episode of Scott Reads Comics. Today I'll be covering Marvel Super Special number 21 featuring Robert E. Howard's Conan the Barbarian. This is the 1982 adaptation of the Conan the Barbarian movie starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. And we have a fantastic cover here that is basically one of the main movie posters that the film company used for those advertisements and for outside of theaters. Faithfully reproduced here. And on our back cover, we have a wonderful film still of Arnold as Conan. And this thing is absolutely incredible. They also did a regular newsstand comic version, although this is I happen to have the comic shop versions, but they did newsstand as well. And you're going to notice a marked difference between the color in here and the color in this. And it's pretty cool to look at. They're both great, but it's fun to kind of take a look at, and we'll do that too. I'll show briefly an example of the two. So this adaptation, adapted, penciled, and inked by John Buscema, so he handles the plotting as well. Scripted by Michael Fleischer. Colored by Dee Pedler and Lynn Varley. Lettered by Joe Rosen. So, this contains the story, which is 48 pages, and then a couple of articles with plenty of stills and interviews and things like that on the production of the actual movie. And look at this gorgeous Buscema art and color here along the bottom that we're going to be treated to here. Just gorgeous stuff. And this is magazine size, so it's a little tough to keep it in frame. I'll do my best. Another still there. Great silhouettes here with the Numidian Chronicles, No-O prints. We all know that one. And to show you the difference in the colors, so this is your garden variety comic release colors by excellently colored by George Russos, but this is the Pedler Lynn Varley version, and this is good. This is next level. It's just absolute. The colors in this are so rich. And this paper, non-glossy, almost Baxter-like paper, is fantastic. They did a similar super special for Blade Runner. The funny thing about the Blade Runner super special was in the magazine version, the super special version, there are a couple of pages printed out of order, which kind of ruins the story. But in the Blade Runner 2-issue comic book adaptation, which I need to do on the show, it's really cool. It's all printed in order. So that, and actually the comic version of Blade Runner is actually better. So we of course get the movie version of Conan's origin with his father and mother teaching him the riddle of steel. Then of course the vile forces of Thusla Doom come along. He's at this point a warlord, less than a cult leader, but more of a warlord. Of course, the tragic death of his father. And then his mother. They do a great job adapting this for the comics and really the comics code, because they were limited in some aspects in the level of violence they could show in this. While this is violent, the stories are identical between the super special version and this comic version. I just went through page by page before I started recording this, and there really are no differences in dialogue or the violence that is presented. It doesn't approach the level of violence of Savage Sword, just by comparison. And of course, we get this amazing sequence here where he's, as a child, taken to the wheel of pain. I was weak from hunger in the long march, but on the day the Vanir chained me to the wheel, I made a solemn vow. Beneath my breath, I murmured, "Men will die for this." Yet the weeks became months, and the months years. So here we see all the people toiling at this wheel. What is its purpose? Who knows? I can tell you it's not a granary. So maybe it's just to weed out the weak. But here, a grown Conan toils alone. And of course, he is purchased as a slave to become a pit fighter. And this sequence, of course, was incredible in the movie, too. Both Buscema and Fleischer's version is just as incredible. And here he dispatches his first foe ever in a pit fight. but it also made me angry, aye, very angry. If the wheel of pain could not destroy me, neither will you destroy me. Nay, for the bones of Crom I'll destroy you first. His head shattered like a ripe melon against the wall of the pit, and the motley crowd cheered my victory with howls of fury and lust. So, pretty incredible sequence here. And then we get, just as there was a montage in the movie of Conan's pit fighting exploits, here we get it beautifully rendered by Buscema. And again, this is Buscema inks and pencils, and I love when John Buscema inks himself. You get the purest version of John Buscema when he does. And these Lynn Varley colors are just astounding on here. And again, I'll quickly compare with the same sequence in the comic book, just so you get an idea. So yeah, you can see here, this is actually fairly close, but there's just an extra richness and vividness to these colors. In these two panels here, you can definitely see clear differences. It really is a more enjoyable experience with the magazine version. I'm glad I have both, though. So Conan goes to Kitai for extra training, studies philosophy. I learned of languages and writing, and when my owner put me to stud, I learned the love of women as well. Of course, they don't show that in here because of the comics code, that famous scene where they bring the woman to his cell. Then one night, the earth giants trembled beneath the floor of my cell. So in an earthquake, Conan gets free. In this adaptation, it's an earthquake. In the actual movie, we know his owner sets him free during a windstorm. For whatever reason, it's never revealed. And we get that incredible narration by Mako during the movie when he speculates as to why Conan was released, but you never know. But here he gets free in an earthquake. Same results the same though. He winds up in the wilderness, being attacked by wolves, trying to fight his way off. He falls into an old tomb, and he finds his amazing sword from this ancient giant warrior here. A sword, a magnificent sword fit for a giant, aye, but it is my sword now. And for the first use to which I'll put the thing will be to free myself from this cursed chain. So then he comes out, and here, unlike in the movie, they actually show him hacking the wolves to pieces. And of course, here's, as a kid, was one of my most favorite scenes when he meets the witch in the woods. And we see, of course, Subutai. We don't know it's him yet. And he's trying to find out information. He has a burning desire for vengeance on Thulsa Doom and the cult. He's looking for signs of the cult, which is two snakes. But this witch has other things in mind. Where do you go, Sumerian? South. It's warm there, and they don't ask questions. Bah, they said you'd come. From the north, a man of great strength, a conqueror, a man who would one day be king by his own hand, one who would crush the snakes of the earth under his bared feet. Snakes, did you say? Snakes? What is it you seek, barbarian? A standard, a symbol, two snakes facing one another. Over a black sun and moon, I can tell you what you want to know, but first you must lie with me, barbarian, pay my price. Of course, she is some kind of werewolf or were-creature. In this amazing sequence from Buscema here, she tries to kill Conan, but he hurls her into the flames and hurled her headlong into the flames, where she exploded in a blinding blaze of light. Crom! And you can see her spirit, just like in the movie, fleeing her hut. And then, of course, Conan has his fateful first meeting with Subutai and chooses to free him, and they become fast friends. And they end up going to Zamora, of course, where he gets his first glimpse of the snake cult of Set, of Thulsa Doom. And this is great. Of course, I've long said on the show about how much I love the way John Buscema draws female characters, and here this is no different. We're going to get a nice sampling in this story. Beautiful, is she not? For an instant, we caught each other's gaze and stared. You, warrior, cleansing is coming, a cleansing of doom. Throw down your sword, shed your skin like the serpent, and like the serpent you will be renewed. Doom, Rama, doom. So these guys are all 100% in on this cult, flagellating themselves with snakes. Really cool. So they decide they're going to rob the Tower of Doom. The Tower of the Serpent, Conan, the Tower of Set. Within it is said to lie dazzling riches and jewels without end. So here, of course, is where they meet Valeria, Conan's love interest in this story. And again, we'll see quickly, color here, the differences. Yeah, just such an amazing, richer tonal difference here between this 3-panel sequence and then the comic version. There's no comparison in my mind. This one's just far superior. I mean, it's a better reproduction process. And George Roussos is good, but he's not Lynn Varley. So, of course, here's Valeria. They decide to work together, break in, and we get one of the most memorable scenes with the chanting and the rhythmic music as this woman is going to sacrifice herself to the serpent. And of course, it's a giant constricting serpent. Conan passes his sword, just takes his dagger. He's going to get this jewel there that the serpent is cradled around. But his own perspiration, of course, in that memorable scene in the movie, just as here, wakes it up. He takes this symbol and he has to battle the serpent, which awakens. He jams his knife in there, and just like in the movie, this is shot for shot almost, really good, faithfully adapted. And Buscema would have had early access to the script, so he was able to, and he may even have seen some of the storyboards that they used for the movie. He gets his sword back and finishes the creature. And she, meanwhile, the slave jumps all the way down only to find it dead. And this is interesting because here, this is where the first, so this is where the comic store or the regular release version ends right here. So they cut it off there. And then in issue 2, it's going to pick up, and they have a cool framing sequence where they reuse these panels, but only some of them. They looks like someone had to redraw a couple things here. So we do get some slight variation. I kind of like this version better over this one, but this was necessitated by the fact it had to be split across 2 issues. So that was a little bit of problem solving Buscema did for that. Of course, they're celebrating, they got away, and then they are approached by a needy king. What daring, what insolence, what unbridled arrogance you 3 have exhibited. From the unplumbed depths of my soul, I, King Ostrich of Zamra, salute you all. For while even my fiercest warriors slink cravenly from their duty, only you 3 have dared to defy that foulest of foul demigods, Sloths of Doom. So he wants them to steal his daughter back from the cult of Doom. She's fallen under the sway of the cult, and he offers them a king's ransom and jewels and rewards. And Conan looks at this as an opportunity to exact revenge on Thulsa of Doom, but strangely he leaves his 2 allies out of it and tries to go by himself. For how could I ask them to share my vengeful quest when they could scarcely even fathom my need to pursue it? So he decides to go incognito, but first he meets the old wizard. Beyond the last mound stood a hut with an aged wizard hunched in its doorway. And he talks about how he sings to the dead. Conan leaves him his armor and sword and tries to go undercover as a cultist. And here's that famous sequence from the movie where he takes that priest who looks like he might want to take advantage of him and knocks him out and takes his priest's robe. And he's showing, thinking it's going to get him through, and it seemingly does, the symbol that he purloined from the tower earlier in the story, but really it's the thing that's going to be his undoing here. As Thulsa Doom ferrets him out as a imposter. Even as that foul infidel there has attempted to deceive me, punish him. And he is overwhelmed by numbers, doesn't have his weapons or armor, and so he is savagely beaten. And he Doom orders his minions to deal with him. Rexor, crucify him. So here we have the famous scene, and this of course is cribbed from early issues of Savage Sword of Conan. So very similar, but this is an incredible sequence here. Let me see if I can, look, you can just feel the heat radiating off that plane. Let me see if I can find this in the, yeah. Again, not as vivid, not as impactful. Cool, but like you can definitely see the sunburn on him here and the toll that the weather has taken on him. While here, he's just very sort of monochromatic. And again, the awesome approach of Subutoy. 'Twas the form of a man running effortlessly across the vast red landscape, indifferent to the harsh terrain or the endless heat of the sun. I knew of only one breed of man in the world that could run that way, a Hyrcanian steppe dweller. In praise, Crom, I was right. It was Subutai. So they rescue Conan from being crucified, but he's on the brink of death. And they go for a magical ritual to bring him back from the brink. And the spirits are going to take Conan away, but Valeria implores them and fights them. Begone, damn you demons, begone. You'll not take him from me. The girl has won. They're gone. The spirits are gone. Aye, wizard, for my love is stronger than any death could be. E'en the gods cannot sever us, Conan. Were I dead, and you still fighting for life, I'd return from the very pit of hell to fight at your side. You must always remember that. And so, of course, now we have a period where Conan has to heal and recover because they still need to recapture King Osric's daughter from the cult of Doom. And, of course, Conan still wants his inevitable revenge. Yes. So here we have an amazing sequence. And I don't know that maybe the script didn't indicate this or John just didn't want to draw it that way. But the one thing that I'm down about this adaptation on is I've loved the black camouflage that they painted their bodies in when they went in for the rescue. They were so cool. And as a kid, so scary and so menacing looking. I just thought it was completely awesome. And I'm bummed out that they didn't do that in the comic adaptation because it seems like it would have been easy. But this is a very truncated version of the debauchery, the carnality, the violence that occurs during this is what is my favorite sequence in the movie. They do get her. You do see the transformation Doom does into a serpent. There is some combat against these sort of like demi-men that Doom has working for him in the pits of his mountain. They escape, but not quite because Doom, beautifully drawn here by Buscema, uses his magical arrow to hit Valeria. The wizard, I told him I would pay the gods. So, unlike Valeria, Conan cannot bring his lover back from the brink of death. Kiss me, Conan. Let me breathe my last breath into your mouth. I'm so cold, Conan. Keep me warm. And brilliantly preserved line from the movie, mostly I think word for word. And we have the tragic burial pyre of Valeria. And There is that amazing sequence that's left out too, of where Subutoy is crying, and the wizard asks him, "Why are you crying?" And he says, "He is Conan. He cannot cry, so I will cry for him." But we don't get that, and of course we get the final fateful battle, and the wizard's going to help them. They know that Thulsa Doom and his men are coming for her. "The gods are pleased with you. They will watch the battle. Will they help us, old one?" "No." "Then tell them to stay out of our way." Very cool. And we do not get Conan's amazing monologue before the battle begins either here. We get sort of the view from the wizard's point of view. We do get some of it here. "I've never prayed to you before, Crom, but now I ask that you grant me one request. Grant me just one thing, Crom. Grant me revenge." So, yeah, we get the last little bite of it. And the battle is brilliantly choreographed by Buscema, who is an expert at this sort of thing. This just comes to him effortlessly. His ability to draw just about any landscape, any creature, any fighting position, any bit of weaponry, armor. And here we have the most pivotal moment of this battle. "That was deftly done, Barbarian, deftly done indeed. Rexor, I, infidel Rexor, who nailed your worthless carcass to the tree of woe, who now disarms you, and who will now derive the utmost satisfaction from disemboweling you." He has Conan off his guard. He's about to kill him when suddenly his blow is blocked by a mystical blade, and it appears Valeria has returned, and she strikes Rexor in his eyes, blinding him. "Valeria, she's gone. I, Barbarian, gone, leaving you at my mercy. For Thulsa Doom is my lord and master." In this incredible sequence here, really awesome open panel, brilliant storytelling from Buscema here on this, as he just takes Rexor apart, two-handed blows with his sword, cleaving his shoulder blade, cleaving right through the clavicle into his thoracic cavity, just delivering a mortal blow. So now Doom is going to kill Osric's daughter, because that's who he is. That's the kind of guy he is. If he can't have her, no one will. He knows his words of loss, but Subutoy saves her. "No, praise the gods. 'Twas not exactly the gods who saved your tender-hide princess." So here we get perhaps the most radical departure from this adaptation, from the movie to this adaptation. In the movie, Doom flees away, but here he stays, he lingers, and he tries to ensorcel Conan. "I am the wellspring from which you flow. When I am gone, you will have never been. What could your world possibly be without me, my son?" Brilliant sequence here, as he thinks he has Conan in his sway. You would kill your own father?" Thulsa Doom was right. The answer was not in the blade, but in the man. My father was the light of day. Thulsa Doom was my night. And for Doom's so-called children, they were now so many orphans, but now, like myself, they were at last free. "Where will you go now, my friend?" "North and east. And you?" "South and west. We will meet again at the gate of hell." So it's great. I'm glad they preserved that line. Very impactful. There's an awesome audio adaptation of the movie, which I think is really based heavily on this comic. And it actually edits that out. I think they just say something innocent like, "Oh, we will meet again one day," or something like that. But it's really great. You can find it on YouTube, and it's like an hour adaptation of the Conan movie, and it's got sound effects and everything. So what else do we have in here? We have some awesome coverage of the actual movie, articles and interviews by David Anthony Kraft on the making of the movie. So you have a John Milius interview. with a lot of cool stills. You get a piece on Schwarzenegger with some Schwarzenegger interview stuff. Rather lengthy too. Lots of great stills. Now keep in mind, this would have come out right either as the movie was coming out or a little before. So if you're 12 years old like me and you tried to get a local bum in your neighborhood to get you into the movie and they wouldn't let you in, all you had was to go to the comic store and get something like this to tide you over until maybe it came to HBO and you could sneak watching it when your parents weren't around because it had so much nudity and violence in it. And that's what happened. So we get a piece on set designer Ron Cobb. Just really, this is just incredible. And then, of course, to wind us up, a great interview with brilliant actor James Earl Jones. And then you get another great still from the movie. And, of course, totally non-Conan, but holy crap, look at this Michael Golden subscription ad and the vivid color on it. Totally awesome. And all for the cheap price of $2.50 in 1982. That would have been probably, I think I was getting $5 a lawn. So if I mowed a lawn that weekend, I would have been able to afford this and a couple other comic books, and that's probably what I did. So yeah, that has been my coverage of Marvel Super Special number 21, Conan the Barbarian. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe, tell your friends, and I'll bring you more soon on Scott Reads Comics. Thanks for watching.